All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into the Golan Heights, but not in the way you might be thinking. We're not talking politics or anything. We're going like beneath the surface.
Ooh, I like that. Beneath the surface.
Yeah, like literally. Our source material is this audio recording of a tour guide. His name is Michael, and he's leading a group of people through the Golan Heights.
Interesting.
And his commentary is just, it's amazing. It's packed with like surprising geology and history, so much that you wouldn't really expect.
Okay, so what kind of stuff did he point out?
Well, right off the bat, like immediately he points out something that almost seems impossible, geologically speaking.
Oh.
He's talking about basalt, which is, volcanic rock. And he says it looks like it's underneath the limestone.
Okay, that is weird because usually limestone is the base layer, right?
Exactly. Like that's what you'd expect to find, at least in Israel.
So how does he explain that?
He says it has to do with the unique, like, geological history of the region. So picture this, right? You've got the limestone forming first, as you would expect. Right. And then way, way back in time, there was this huge lava flow coming from the north. And lava, it's liquid, so it naturally flows to the lowest point,
Which would be?
the Yarmuk River Valley.
Ah, okay, so the lava basically filled in the valley after the limestone was already there.
Exactly. That's why it looks like the basalt is underneath, when in reality it's not. It's just an illusion because of the way it flowed and solidified.
That's really cool.
I know. And Michael actually uses this really great analogy to explain it to his tour group. He compares it to, like, pouring chocolate sauce over a vanilla cake.
I see. So the chocolate might end up on the bottom, but it doesn't mean it was there first.
Precisely.
That's a good way to make it, like, instantly understandable. I mean, not everyone on that tour is going to be a geologist, right?
Totally. But, just in case, he does go on to explain, like, what basalt and limestone actually are.
So what does he say?
Well, for basalt, he basically says it's just hardened lava, that dark, dense rock you see in volcanic areas. And for limestone, he explains, it forms over millions of years from, like, the accumulation of shells and coral and all sorts of marine organisms.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so we've got our geological layers sorted out. But then the tour takes this kind of sudden turn into history.
Oh, what happened?
Well, they come across this blown-up bridge, and Michael mentions something called the Night of the Bridges.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it piqued my curiosity, too.
So what is it?
Turns out it was this daring operation in 1946 carried out by the Palmach.
The Palmach.
Yeah, they were like a Jewish paramilitary group. And their target was British Mandate infrastructure, including that bridge, which was like part of a railway line connecting Haifa to Damascus.
Wow, so they blew up a bridge that was part of a major railway line. That's pretty bold.
I know, right? And Michael even mentions, like, there's always a question about this event on the tour guide exam.
Really? Why do you think that is? I mean, it sounds like a daring raid, but why is it so important?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, too. I mean, I guess blowing up bridges wasn't just about, like, disrupting transportation. It was more like a symbolic act,
Yeah.
like defying British rule and all that.
Right. It shows just how determined they were to achieve independence.
Yeah, and how far they were willing to go to get it.
It's pretty amazing how one, like, destroyed bridge can represent such a huge moment in history.
Totally.
It just shows how the landscape itself, can hold these echoes of the past.
And speaking of echoes of the past, as the tour continues, they come across another layer of history.
Oh, like what?
Military bunkers. They're like dotted all over the terrain.
So we've got geology, history, and now military remnants. It's like a time warp up there.
It really is. And it's not just like one period either.
Right.
You've got remnants from different eras and conflicts all layered on top of each other.
So whose bunkers are they?
Well, the most recent ones were built by the Syrian army when they were in the Golan Heights from 1946 to 1967.
Okay.
But there are even older bunkers dating back to World War II. Those were built by the Allied forces.
Oh, wow, the Allies. What were they doing way up there?
Well, they were anticipating a potential Axis invasion, so they were preparing, just in case.
It makes you wonder what it would have been like, to be stationed in one of those bunkers, waiting.
Yeah, facing down an enemy force.
Each one must have its own, story to tell. It's incredible to think about.
Definitely. And it shows just how strategically important the Golan Heights has been throughout history.
It makes sense. I mean, it's this high ground overlooking so much of the surrounding area.
Exactly. And it's seen its fair share of conflict over the years. Those bunkers are like tangible reminders of that.
Right. So where does the tour go next?
Well, they eventually leave behind those military remnants and enter this vast expanse of wheat fields.
Wheat fields? Really?
Yeah, it's a stark contrast to all that rugged terrain.
That's quite the change of scenery.
It is. And Michael explains that this is the southern Golan, which is known in Arabic as the land of wheat.
Land of wheat, huh? I
Wow.
guess the name fits if it's all wheat fields.
It totally does.
Yeah.
And that name is like directly tied to the geology of the area. So remember how we talked about the minimal basalt presence in the south?
Yeah.
Well, that, combined with a long period of erosion,
Mm-hmm.
has created this really fertile soil, perfect for growing wheat.
So it's the same geological forces that created those crazy rock formations that are also responsible for the Golan Heights being a breadbasket.
It really is. It just shows how, like, geology shapes not only the physical landscape, but also, the way people live and work the land.
That's super interesting.
And as we'll see, this connection between geology and agriculture becomes even more apparent as the tour moves north, towards what Michael calls the land for flocks.
Land for flocks. Okay, I'm intrigued. What makes the northern Golan better for flocks than, like, growing wheat?
Well, that's where those thicker layers of basalt come in. You see, the northern Golan is much rockier and less suitable for traditional farming because of, like, more recent volcanic activity.
So it's the opposite of the southern Golan.
Exactly. Down south, you have rolling hills and fertile plains.
Hmm.
But up north, it's all,
Rugged and rocky.
yeah,
So you've got wheat land in the south and flock land in the north. It's amazing how just the type of rock beneath our feet can have such a huge impact on the landscape and even like how people use the land.
it is. And get this, Michael then goes on to say it's not just about the presence of basalt, but
Yep.
also how it got there. He says there are actually two different types of basalt.
Two different types. Okay, I'm all ears. What's the difference?
He talks about something called covering basalt, which is unique to the southern Golan.
Covering basalt. Okay, I've never heard of that. What is it?
Well, unlike the basalt in the north, which was formed by those dramatic, explosive volcanic eruptions, this covering basalt was created by gentler lava flows. Basically, the lava spread out from cracks and smaller volcanoes over millions of years.
So it was less about those big eruptions and more about the lava like slowly oozing out over the existing landscape.
Exactly. And because of that, it created a much thinner, more eroded layer of basalt.
Which I'm guessing contributed to the fertile soil we keep hearing about in the south.
Exactly. It's like the lava gently blanketed the land over millions of years, whereas up north, it was much more dramatic and violent.
So how old is this covering basalt compared to the basalt in the north?
Oh, it's much older. The covering basalt in the south formed around 3.5 million years ago, but the basalt in the north is way younger, only about 100,000 years old.
Wow, that is a huge difference.
I know, right? So the older, more eroded basalt in the south creates those perfect conditions for growing wheat, while the younger, thicker basalt in the north, well, it lends itself to grazing.
It's amazing how these ancient geological events are still shaping the landscape and even the livelihoods of people today.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's even more amazing. We've only just scratched the surface of what this tour has to offer. There's still so much more to uncover. It really makes you think about the Golan Heights differently.
Yeah.
It's not just a place on a map. It's like this living landscape shaped by all these forces.
Exactly. Like, we often see landscapes as static, but they're constantly changing and evolving. The Golan Heights is a perfect example of that.
Right. And as we keep listening to Michael's tour, he mentioned something called the Golan Trail. It sounds incredible, like a way to really experience the Golan Heights firsthand.
Oh, yeah, the Golan Trail. It's this network of hiking and driving path. Like, it weaves through all these different landscapes of the Golan Heights. You can do a day trip or even like a multi-day adventure.
Wow, a multi-day adventure. That sounds intense.
It can be, depending on how deep you want to go.
I bet. It'd be amazing to, like, explore those ancient volcanic landscapes and come across those historical remnants.
Yeah, like those bunkers we were talking about.
Exactly. It'd be like stepping back in time.
And you know what's really cool? Michael mentions that it's a relatively new trail. So there's still this sense of discovery as you explore it. Like, you're not just retracing well-trodden paths, you're kind of forging your own connection with the region.
That's a good point. It's like you're one of those early explorers mapping out uncharted territory.
Right. There's something really exciting about that.
Totally. It speaks to that sense of adventure that the Golan Heights seems to inspire.
Yeah, it's a place that constantly surprises and intrigues.
Now, Michael also brings up something I found really interesting. He talks about, like, the lack of good information on the Golan Heights in English.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he even encourages his tour group to, like, consider translating some of the resources that are available in Hebrew.
Huh. That's a good point. It's a reminder that knowledge can be hidden behind language barriers.
Totally. It made me realize how much we rely on people like Michael. you know,
Yeah,
like to bridge those gaps and open up new worlds of knowledge for us.
that's true. We often take for granted the work that goes into translating and sharing information.
Right. And it's through those efforts that we can appreciate the richness and diversity of different cultures and perspectives.
Absolutely.
So as we continue on this audio journey, the tour bus leaves the wheat fields behind and starts to climb.
Oh, they're heading up into the mountains.
Yeah, Michael explains that they're heading north into that area we talked about earlier, the land for flocks.
Ah, right. The shift in landscape.
Exactly. And that shift is directly tied to the geology we were discussing.
Right. Those thicker layers of basalt in the northern Golan.
Exactly. The basalt that makes the terrain much rockier, less suitable for farming.
It's a big contrast to the rolling hills and fertile plains of the southern Golan.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's crazy how you can literally see the transition, like from wheatland to flockland as you move north.
It's like the landscape itself is reflecting the underlying geology.
It really is.
Yeah.
And this difference isn't just like visual, it's shaped the way people have interacted with the land for centuries.
Yeah, like you were saying before, the southern Golan with its fertile soil became the breadbasket, and the north, with its rocky terrain, became the domain of shepherds.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It's amazing how those ancient geological processes have had such a lasting impact.
Right, like on the cultural and economic landscape of the Golan Heights. It's fascinating.
It really is.
So what happens as the tour goes deeper into the northern Golan?
Well, Michael points out that the wheat fields start to give way to vineyards and olive groves.
Oh, vineyards. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a visual reminder that, we're entering a different geological zone.
Makes sense. And that change in agriculture is directly related to the basalt, right?
Yeah.
The thicker, less eroded basalt creating a different kind of soil.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A soil that's well suited for growing grapes and olives.
Ah, so the same volcanic forces that created those dramatic landscapes are also responsible for the Golan Heights wines and olive oil.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is. It's like the Golan Heights is a tapestry woven from all these threads of geology, history, and human ingenuity.
It's a beautiful image.
And Michael Stewart does a great job of bringing that tapestry to life. It's not just facts and figures. It's about understanding the interconnectedness of everything.
Right. And that's what makes it so captivating to listen to.
Exactly. And as we continue on this journey with Michael, I'm sure there are even more fascinating connections waiting to be uncovered.
As they keep heading north, Michael starts talking about the volcanoes that shaped the region. He even mentions that the last eruption in the Golan Heights was around 100,000 years ago.
Wow, that's pretty recent, geologically speaking.
Right. It makes you realize that, we often think of these geological processes as happening over millions of years, but sometimes it's much more recent than that.
Yeah. And those eruptions are what created those thick basalt layers we see in the northern Golan, right? So different from that covering basalt we were talking about earlier.
Totally. In the south, it was all these slow, gentle lava flows over millions of years. But up here in the north, it was all about those dramatic, explosive eruptions.
Right. It's amazing how two different types of volcanic activity can create such distinct landscapes.
It really is. It makes you think about, those fiery rivers of molten rock spewing from the earth, shaping the mountains and valleys we see today.
I know, you can almost picture it. Must have been an incredible sight.
It really makes you realize the power of nature.
Yeah.
And speaking of powerful forces, Michael points out this really interesting feature, a valley formed by a massive crack in the earth.
He calls it a graben, right?
Yeah, and it's a great example of how tectonic plates can shape the landscape. It's basically a valley that forms when a block of land sinks down between two parallel faults.
Ah, so it's not just volcanoes that have shaped the Golan Heights. We've got tectonic plates moving and colliding, too.
Right, creating these dramatic features. It's like a giant puzzle, with each piece telling a different part of the story.
I like that, a giant puzzle. And as we listen to Michael describe these features, it's clear that he's really passionate about this region. He has such a deep understanding of it.
You can really hear the excitement in his voice, especially when he's talking about these ancient geological events. It's contagious.
And I think that's one of the things that makes this audio tour so engaging. It's not just like an information dump. It's like going on a journey of discovery with someone who truly loves this land.
Yeah, it's like we're right there on the bus with them, experiencing it all firsthand.
I know, right?
So, as we get towards the end of the tour, Michael leaves us with this really thought-provoking observation. He reminds us that we've only scratched the surface of what the Golan Heights has to offer.
Yeah, he's right. I mean, there are so many more stories hidden within these layers of rock just waiting to be uncovered. It's like exploration and discovery are never truly finished.
It's true. This deep dive has definitely opened my eyes to how rich and complex the Golan Heights is. We've gone from optical illusions in rock formations to daring raids on bridges, from ancient volcanoes to tectonic shifts. It's been quite the journey.
It really has. And I think what's so fascinating is how Michael seamlessly weaves together the geology, the history, the culture. He shows us how it's all interconnected.
It's like he's painting this incredibly detailed picture, and we're just starting to see the full scope of it.
Right. And I think that's a great takeaway for our listeners too, to like look at the world around us with fresh eyes, to
Mm.
appreciate the stories hidden beneath the surface. Who knows what we might uncover if we just keep digging a little deeper.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, everyone. We'll see you next time.